right. Okay, good morning, you guys. Welcome. My name is, oh, there we go. Now it's on. Good morning. My name is Greg Havens, and I am one of your co-presenters today. I am a sixth grade teacher at Martone Elementary School. I teach the GATE class there. And before that, I was the district technology coach at Davis High School when they went one-to-one. So shout out to my Davis peeps out there. I know there's a few of you. And I want to welcome you guys to Schoology conferences. And before we get started, I want to introduce my co-host, Chad King. So Chad, if you can kind of introduce yourself, that'd be awesome.
Yep, my name is Chad King. I'm going to be moderating the chat. I'm trying to help answer questions while Greg is doing his presentation. I teach fourth grade over at Kirshen, and looking forward to the session today.
Awesome. So before we get started, I want to just kind of give you guys a disclaimer and an overview, just to kind of set some of you at ease. I suspect some of you are kind of excited to be, I'm about to tell you. I'm going to turn off the chat box here so I can focus on what I'm saying instead of reading your comments. I can tell you that some of you are probably kind of excited about this new adventure that we're on. And then some of you might be a little bit nervous or even slightly terrified. I know that we have many veterans that are great teachers out here. I know because I've seen some of you guys teach as a coach. And I know you do a great job. And what we're asking you guys to do now is completely change what you're doing and how you reach out to your kids. But I want to talk for a minute just about the importance of this because when we were getting ready to leave school 2 weeks ago from this coming Wednesday, I only had 6 kids, and it kind of hit me. What's going to happen to the questions I asked myself is, what's going to happen to my class, and how am I going to reach them? Are they going to be okay? I was kind of worried about them. And so what I did is I got everybody in my class, I had them pull out their phones. I broke my own classroom rule, and I asked them to text all of their classmates and get them all on Schoology from home. And most of them have the resources. I'd say all but maybe 2 had the resources at the time to get online. And we got onto this thing called Schoology conferences. And I realized that Schoology conferences is my classroom. And so that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do, I want to give you guys just kind of permission to just realize that this is kind of a slow learning process for teachers. Our school was kind of torn down and we're starting over. And if you're somebody who's been thinking about technology, or maybe you're somebody who's been avoiding technology altogether in your classroom, and you may have said something like, well, I'll worry about that Schoology thing later. Or maybe I'll dip my toe in the pool next year and then see what happens and just go at it slow. And then this situation came along and picked you up and threw you in the deep end and pushed you down to the bottom. So you may feel like you're drowning. So hopefully this course, and the purpose of this course, is to give you the tools that you need to let you know that you can do this. I recommend that you practice using these tools. I have a list of do's and don'ts and kind of a pathway for you to get from where you are right now, planning for your lessons, to getting through and meeting with your kids and having a successful experience with your students. So that's what this course is all about. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm trying this on a Mac. So despite this picture being up here, I am not Alexandra Hancock. She is an instructional technology trainer, and she put together a number of PowerPoints. And I put this up here just to remind you that you have a number of resources available to you. If you're in high school or middle school or elementary for that matter, you have quite a few coaches at the district office that can help you, that would love to get online with you and be able to share their screens with you and show you step by step how to do things and how to problem solve. That's at the district level. And then at your site, you also have usually teachers who have been using Schoology or tech coaches that are there. Or if you're at an elementary site, you have the computer learning teach, the computer learning teachers, or yeah, CLTs, that's there, or computer lab teachers that can help you learn all of these things. They've been spending this time learning how to use Schoology and conferences and all of these other applications that they need to help you use. So their job kind of shifts a little bit. And then most importantly, I think, and the best thing that you could do for yourself is to find a buddy. Call somebody up on Teams. Go to the Teams app and call your teaching partners. Figure out how to get just a trial course for yourself. Create one. Throw your teachers in there and practice with the conference tools that we're going to go over today with your partners. I think it's important that you practice every single day with this, so you know how to run your classroom. So what is Schoology Conferences? Well, the Schoology Conference app, by looking at this graphic, there's the teacher on the left side of the computer, kind of looking into space, not seeing the students, and teaching. And the students on the right are online working. And that big thing right in the middle is your computer and the internet and Schoology Conferences. And I want you guys to wrap your mind around this. Schoology Conferences is your classroom. You are starting your year over. It's just like your principal just handed you a brand new set of keys for a brand new classroom, and the walls are all bare, and they have none of your posters on them, and your desks are all stacked in the middle, and you're starting over. The only thing you do know is your kids, and you know your students because you have experience with them. But as far as setting up your classroom, you're going to need a whole new set of rules and procedures and a way of getting started that's going to make sense to you, that's not a disaster. When I went online with my students on the following Thursday, the day after we got out of school and we all came home, and I had my class get on. Actually, I had the whole sixth grade class get on because we had planned for this ahead of time. And it was a disaster because I didn't have any management tools. Just like you need management tools in your classroom and a way of getting your students' attention and keeping it positive, you're going to need to have some procedures and some routines set up for how to run your class. So this course will also touch on some of those things. So as you kind of go get ready and wrap your mind around what you're going to do, so on the teacher side, on the left-hand side in that gray box, we do our planning, our assessments. We plan our quizzes and do lessons and how we're going to check for understanding and how we're going to know our kids get it. And on the right, your students are ready to learn. Might be ready for group projects, which is great for online learning. Group projects are our friend. Ready for activities and reading and math and things like that, depending on what grade you're in. And then right in the middle, Schoology Conferences is your tool that allows you to reach your students. I think this is probably, of all the seminars, and I'm not biased, I think of all the seminars that we're doing to get teachers ready for distant learning, I think this is the most important one because this is the tool you're going to need to know how to work like second nature. So in this conference, we're going to have a short video I'm going to play for you by Matthew Ketchum. It's going to give you an overview about Schoology Conferences. And keep in mind this is a new application, so we're going to see what he has to say, and then I'm going to add to it because we've just now dived into it, and it's about 2 weeks old, and we're still finding out things that it can do and things it can't do. So we're going to talk about that. Then I have a list of do's, and I call them anticipated because again, this is new, and this is just best practices that I've found. And then a list of don'ts, and they're just ways of kind of looking at Schoology Conferences just to keep you safe and to keep your students safe. And then we're going to go live and take a real dive into Schoology Conferences so we can practice with it, and I can show you kind of how it works. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do on my first day, my first 2 or 3 lessons in Schoology Conferences. So I'll show you some of the tools, and then I'm going to show you what you should do to get your classes ready. And then we're going to, this is actually Schoology Conferences Part 2. I should change that slide. And then we'll have questions and answers and hopefully talk about how a plan that you can make and practice every day before you go live next Monday. So, Schoology conferences.
Schoology conferences is the tool that you're going to want to use
There's no
if
sound.
you want to do a live video conference with your students, and it's built into
No sound at all? No sound at all? What about now? Let's see.
your Schoology course.
Still
So
nothing.
there's two parts.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Gotta love technology. All right. Well, we're going to skip this one, and I'm going to show you all the things that Matthew would have shown. We'll just do that instead of trying to wrestle with it. Have a plan B. So let's skip that for now, and we'll go to list of do's. The one thing I'm going to go back for a second, and I'm going to find the one slide that I want you guys to be. This is the one slide that Matthew talks about that's important for you guys, and he explains it, and I'll go ahead. Super important. And as teachers, we have to be aware of the dangers of video chatting with minors while in their homes, often unsupervised, could open the door to teacher to a liability. So who knows what might be shown on a screen that another kid sees, or a meeting one-on-one in a second chat, and one is accused of inappropriate behavior. So Schoology conferences allows us to teach the way we need to teach with kids in a way that's kind of appropriate, and it's safe for us. It's fairly transparent because it's on our servers. And the district the district is asking us not to teach in Zoom or any other platform that's being used. There's a lot of issues in the news nowadays. So staying safe is the best way for us to teach our kids, and that's by using Schoology conferences. It has all the tools that all the other things has, and it has a few more actually. So it's important just to kind of focus in. So when we're teaching our kids, we use Schoology conferences. When we're talking with our teaching partners and our administration and things like that, we can use Microsoft Teams. That seems to be working really well. So Teams is for the adults in our world and in our school and our administrators and things like that. And Schoology conferences is where we connect with our kids. All right, so I'm going to move on from there. That was the big plus that I didn't want to miss. So a list of do's. So I only have 3 of them with a few examples. First do practice. Become familiar with how the application works and find a partner to practice with. Find your familiar levers and the buttons and all the things that you need that you're going to want to do with your kids and practice with them. So have one person be the teacher and the other person be the student, and practice going back and forth and talking over Schoology conferences. Another do is become equipped. Make sure you have your second monitor at home. Bring home your document camera if you have one. You can hook that up and use that also. And most importantly, I said use a set of headphones. I use these Apple earbuds. They're the old ones you plug in with like a headphone jack. And it cuts down on the echoing and the feedback that you'll hear coming through the computer. And it also blocks out all the distractions at your house, so you can kind of stay focused on what you're doing. And it's going to take some focus. And I find that using headphones just kind of lowers my anxiety level as I'm kind of flying this ship, so to speak. And the last do is establish class norms and routines. In the beginning of the year, we all work hard to establish how we want our classrooms to run. This is the same kind of thing. Students know what to expect. The more students know what to expect, the smoother the learning environment is. And this is like the beginning of the school year. For many of us, we're actually building our school brick by brick with the students learning at the same time. So some of the rules that I have, and one of the first lessons I teach my students, and I'll show you how to do it, is always raise a quiet hand and wait to be called on. And I'll show you how students can raise their hand and wait to be called on. which leads me to my second one is once you call on that student, like the second rule is only one mic on at a time. If my microphone's on, the rule is everybody else's microphone has to be off. And if I call on somebody, I turn off my mic, and they have permission to turn on their mic when they're called on. And the third one is I teach them to use the text box appropriately for questions and comments. So when we first log into Schoology, I'll show you how to disable everything, their cameras, their microphones, the text box, all of that. And then once I explain how we're going to use them, then I'll go ahead and turn them on and we'll practice. That might be the biggest lesson for the first day, is how to practice with these tools so your students aren't being a distraction to you and to other students. Here's a list of don'ts. First don't. And keep in mind, these aren't the district policy, but they are good common sense that'll help you keep you and your students safe. Don't wing it. Teaching online and just winging it without an online classroom management plan can make going live seem like the first day of student teaching. However, having a good plan and practicing this technology will give any good teacher superpowers, and it really will, you guys. It'll allow you to pull things in during your lesson that you normally wouldn't have been able to pull in your classroom, as far as checking for understanding and things like that. Don't allow student cameras. Allowing students to turn on their student cameras, even if they can't see each other, can still cause problems. And inside of Schoology conferences, they can't see each other except for on one occasion. So it's actually two occasions. It's always a safe and smart policy to just allow the only camera in the room or the only camera in your class to be yours until the district does a couple of things to make it safer. And the third don't is don't use the breakout rooms for now. This is a new program for our teachers and the district as a whole. Breakout rooms allow students to be unsupervised and gives them control over all the tools inside of conferences, including sharing the camera with each other. So if you send kids to various breakout rooms, you can't get there fast enough to turn off all the cameras and all of the tools that they have access to. And if anything inappropriate happens, it's like leaving your kids in the classroom unsupervised. We don't have the safety set up yet. There are ways that we're starting to realize that you can start to use breakout rooms that are going to be appropriate and safe for you to use and where you can supervise. But until we kind of iron those things out, I would say that breakout rooms are off limits. And I'm going to practice that just to keep things kind of going in a positive direction. So that is it, and this is going to give us plenty of time to go live and to talk about some things. So I'm going to go to the chat window right now, and I'm going to post a code. And the code I posted for this morning's course code, go ahead and copy the DM2J, copy that whole orange code, and copy it. And then I want you to, let's see, I'm going to go into Schoology. Chad, can you see my Schoology screen?
Yep, you're good.
Great. Okay, let me get back into, right here. There we go. I'm going to get back into, good. Oh, that's not it. Let's see, I'm going to go right here. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and walk you through. So if you're familiar with Schoology, just bear with me, guys. I'm going to log out, and I want to show everybody how to get into Schoology and how to sign up for this course that we're getting into. So again, copy the course, the orange link on the chat window, and then go to the district or your school website, and you go to staff, and then staff applications. And on the right hand side, I scroll all the way down to Schoology and open it up. And if you're in high school, you click on K-12. If you're at the district, I don't know where you click. And if you are, I think you click on 9-12 also. If you're in high school, you click on 9-12. And if you're in elementary school or middle school, you click on K-8. And that's where I'm going to click, because I'm in elementary school. And then Schoology is what's called a single sign-on application. And what that means is, however you sign into your computer, that's how you sign into Schoology. So many of the apps that we have that we use that are in that list of applications for teachers are single sign-on. Very few you have to put your whole email address. So just put in your last name, first initial, or however you sign into the classroom, and sign in. And I have that link saved. I'll paste it one more time. Oh, Chad just did. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Courses. I click on Courses up here. There's a little link on the right-hand side, My Courses. I click on that. And then I click on Join a Course, which will allow this box to pop out, and I paste that code and click Join. Let me do it again. I'll go to Courses, My Courses, Join a Course, and join.
For some of you, this is the second time you're taking this class, and it's saying that you already have joined that course. That's no problem. Just click on Courses at the top, and then just click on the Schoology Conference course because you're already in it.
So notice now, this is the course we're looking for, the Schoology Conferences course. But I'm going to move this out of the way because you might click on Courses and not see this on your menu board here. And that just means it's farther down your list of all the things you probably have. So I'm going to go down the line here. I'm going to hide it. So if I go back to my courses and I notice it's not there. I can't find that black bordered course that has Schoology Conferences on it. So what I can do is if I click on the logo for my school and I probably have this, and I go to my course dashboard. So I'm going to click on the logo for my school and go to Courses Dashboard, and I'll scroll down and find it, and I can actually just drag it up. I can just drag it on up. And then now, once I have it, I see that it's the first thing. And this would be a good thing to put first for you, at least the first 3 or so, because you're going to want to be able to reference some of the resources here. All right? So again, I'll do that one more time. I go to the logo, I scroll down, I look for it, and I can drag it on up to the top. So I have it. And so when I go to Courses, I can just click on Courses, and I'm inside. Since the video didn't work on my computer, and it's my own fault, I apologize. But I will say that the video was kind of outdated, and there's a lot of new information, and Matthew's doing a new one. However, these videos are in this first folder, so you will have this course for as long as you want it. I'm going to leave it up for a long time. Actually, I'm going to leave it up, and I'm going to leave, and Mike Rich and Matthew Ketchum are going to be in charge of this course. So they can populate it with materials that you may need. And if you look in the video folder, this is the first 3 videos. There's a video that we were going to see. There's a video on how to copy and record your lessons in Schoology Conferences. And then there's a video for students also, so your students can see how to use Schoology Conferences. So these 3 videos are great for you, and they're there for you to watch later. There is a school computer netiquette poster that a teacher submitted for you to use, and you can go ahead and click this button and download it and use it for your classroom. And these are just good online tools for your students. So a list of best practices for students during distance learning, things like place your device in an open area in your home so a parent can monitor, things like that. So there's a whole list that you can read through. And there's also a list for you. Establish norms or routines for your online classroom. Consider blocking students from using the camera or the microphone options to prevent any issues, and I'm going to show you how to do that. If you allow students to use the video option, require the adult to be present. Maintain professionalism at all times, which also means if you have your camera on, make sure you check your background so you don't have anything you have to explain later. I had a couple posters that have to do with music venues that I just took down that were in the back of my room. So that I felt it was just best. I just want to let out too much personal information. So it's a classroom. Whatever's on my screen is my classroom, so I just need to make sure it's appropriate. I've seen some teachers, though, that start to put up like whiteboards and chart paper and things like that so they can use their camera And our camera on our Surface Pros are pretty darn good, actually. So yeah, you can just stand up and teach that way. All right. So going back to the materials page, let's talk about where conferences is. So this is the page where we're setting up all of our assignments and things like that. And on the left-hand side here are all these tools or pages that go with this course. And there's a grade book for this course. There's mastery badges, all the stuff. If you keep going down, you can finally get to conferences. And that's where we're going to meet today. So if you see conferences, go ahead and click on conferences. And if you don't want to, during our presentation this morning, if you don't want to go back and forth and you just want to watch, I recommend you watching inside of Teams. That way you can see everything that I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new conference. And I'm going to create this morning. And the start time is going to be today, which is, today's Tuesday. And it is, say it's 11 o'clock. That's when we started. Click create. And it's going to create a conference. This information right here is just for your students. You can actually put a start and an end time. The status is it's not started, so I'm going to go ahead and start the conference. There's also this gear here that allows me to edit that information and also delete this conference if I want to. But I'm going to go ahead and start it. And once I start it, it opens up this thing called Big Blue Button. And the first thing it's going to ask me is how would I like to join. And as a teacher, I don't want to listen only because I'm going to be talking, so I'm going to join with my microphone. And I need to click the allow. And I need to say something, and if I can hear myself, which I can, I need to go ahead and hit yes. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this gear right here. This is the power gear. This gear right here turns off everything. And I'm going to explain what all these are, but the first thing I'm going to do, the very first thing is I'm going to click lock viewers, and this is going to allow me to turn off all of these things for the first day of class. So I'm going to turn off my webcam. It's not my webcam. I'm locking their webcam so they're inactive. I'm going to lock down their microphone so they can't talk. I'm going to lock down the public chat so they can't just start chatting up a storm without listening to me. Keep in mind when your students first go on the computer, if they do a lot of video gaming, they're going to look at this and think, oh, it's a video game. But it's not. This is school. So I need to lock everything down just so I can explain that to them. I'm going to even lock down send private chat messages. This is something that allows them to send a private chat message to you or you to them. They can't see inside of Schoology conferences. They can't see each other and they can't chat with each other except for the breakout rooms. They can do that. Okay. They can edit the shared notes. That's okay. But I might just lock it down just so they don't go there first. And then see other viewers in the users list. I'm going to leave that open because I do want them to be able to notice and see who else is in their class. So they'll be able to see other viewers in the users list. So as they talk, their names will pop up, and that's going to give them a sense of being in class. Which brings me to the point. This is kind of a different situation that any of us have really been through in our lifetime, and we're all kind of locked down and sequestered a bit in our own homes, and our kids are too. And elementary school is really the first time, especially for younger kids. School is where kids mostly have their social interaction with each other. And in elementary school especially, they need to get a sense that, hey, this is school and I'm still connected and my life isn't totally cut off from everything I'm used to. And it gives them a sense of normalcy. So I'm going to do everything I can that keeps us all safe, but also lets them know that school is in session and we're here to learn. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this unlocked. And then once I do that, I get all of these on the right-hand side showing that it's locking everybody down. And it shows, if you look at all the names here on the left, it says you're all locked. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my webcam. So before any students get here, I'm going to set this up, and I need to allow it. And I'm going to choose which camera I want. I don't want the back camera. I'm just going to leave that here. I'm going to keep it somewhat high quality.
I lost time.
You are now muted.
There we go. And all users are muted. I'm going to leave my microphone turned off because it gives that feedback loop. If I have two programs going, I have Teams and Schoology conferences on. But this is my this is my webcam. Hello, people. So when I start, my very first lesson is going to be how to operate in this class. And excuse me a second, I need to close the door. There we go. Sorry about that. My dog was coming in. And what I'm going to use for that is I'm going to use this board right here, which is a whiteboard. Oh, great. The wheels are coming off. There we go. This is a whiteboard, and there are 6 slides on this whiteboard that I can use. And I can move to the next one, and I can write on it. I can type on it. And let me go to this first one here. I'm going to drag a... That's not working. Why isn't it working? Okay. Here we go. Class rules. And the rules I'm going to put up are things, the very first rule is raise a quiet hand. So let's go ahead and practice that. Let me show you how to raise a quiet hand. If you look at your name and you click on your name in Schoology, and hopefully all of you are in Schoology now. If you're not, come on in. And if I click on my name, I have a status, and I can unmute myself. You can too, although I have all of you blocked right now, so your microphones should be inactive. I can unmute my own mic.
You are now unmuted.
So you're probably hearing an echo. I'm going to mute it again. If I click on my name also, if I click on my name also, there's a set status. And if I click on that, it allows me to tell the teacher and everybody I'm away. I can raise my hand. If the teacher asks a question, students can decide if they're undecided, confused, sad, happy. If I give a great performance, you can clap and applaud. You can give a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So let's have everybody right now give one of these emojis and just go ahead and go into Schoology and practice. So that is how a student raises a quiet hand. Excellent. Thank you, Kelly, for giving me an applause. I appreciate it. And Ed. Nice. But you may be saying, but how is this going to help? You mean I have to go up and down my list to see who's raising a hand? Well, no, you don't. This now that we've learned how to lock this down, let's go to our power gear or the power button again. And if I go on here, notice it has a couple of features. I can clear all status icons. So watch on the left-hand side by your name. And once I hear clear icons, it will clear all the raised hands. And now, watch what happens. If your birthday is in December or May, would you please raise your hand? And watch what happens on the left-hand side. If your birthday is in December or May. Good. Kathleen has her birthday in December or May, one of those. So her hand goes to the top. So when I say raise a quiet hand and wait to be called on, I see that, and then I call on Kathleen. And then the next thing I'm going to do is now what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to answer. So when my microphone's on, yours is off. And when yours is on, mine goes off. So I'm going to go ahead and open up and clear and go down to the locked views. And I'm going to unlock the shared microphones and apply. And if your birthday is in one of those 2 months, will you please click on your name, click on your name and unmute your microphone and say hello. If you would. Please go through the steps again. I will. I will.
Hello.
Awesome. Good. Good morning. So the rule is students raise a quiet hand and wait to be called on. Then I call on them and they go ahead and talk. Now, if someone wanted me to go over the steps again, I will go through them after we kind of go through a general tour of some of these things. And then we'll talk about it and I'll go over it as many times as you need. Also, I'm recording this video and I'll put it back on the Schoology page so you can rewatch it over and over again if you need to. All right, so if I need to turn off meeting mute, I can do it this way. And everybody's mics will be turned on, I believe, which could cause a lot of problems. I can mute all users. I can mute all users except the presenter. That's one of my favorite. I can also click on save the users' names and it'll download a list of everybody who came to the meeting. Now, we talked earlier about this last thing down here, breakout rooms. And breakout rooms are for students working cooperatively in small groups. I think collaborative and students working cooperatively in groups is kind of a staple of our education system. It's important that students are able to plan and to learn and to work together. But there's some caveats here. So I want to show you breakout rooms. And this is a breakout. This is a breakout.
This is the template for the, well.
Let me see. Let me go ahead and mute everybody here. Started to get a echo because somebody's mic came on. So let me go down to lock viewers. And I'm just going to turn off the microphones for now. And then we'll talk. Okay, so these are the breakout rooms. And I can choose how many breakout rooms I want. Why is it not working very well? Well, I have 2 for right now, but you can choose up to 8. And I can choose how long I want the breakout room to last. And then I can put you all in a breakout room randomly. And keep in mind, if I choose 8 breakout rooms, it'll give me 8. Oops, there's William. He's came to the party. And then once I do that, I hit create. You'll all be whisked away into a breakout room. So you'll be able to turn on your cameras and see each other. Now I have the cameras locked down in the main part, the main learning section, but not in the breakout rooms. And in order for me to turn off those cameras, I'd have to go to each breakout room, and it takes me about 10 seconds to get to each one. So your kids would be unsupervised for quite a bit of time. I could see actually a safe use for 1 or 2 breakout rooms, like if you wanted to use small groups, and then you could be in there at the same time, but that hasn't been ironed out yet, and I'm not sure of all the ramifications. I just know that they're kind of off limits for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the create button. I'll probably leave you guys in there for about 30 seconds so you can see all the things you can do. So please feel free to turn on your mics and turn on your cameras if you want to. It's your choice. And talk amongst yourselves. And you should all be populating the breakout rooms here. Did it not work? Are you guys in there?
Hello?
Hello. Is your microphone on? You guys can turn on your microphones and your cameras while you're in there. I'm gonna go check on the others. Hello, are you guys in there? Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I can't see which one that I'm in.
That's okay. I placed you in one that's just kind of random, so it's all right. You're in room number 2.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
So I went ahead, let's see here. I went ahead and I brought you guys back from the breakout rooms. And you can see how that would be a great tool for if you have a question posted in your lessons and kids were able to kind of discuss things and talk over their answers and come back. It's a great think, pair, share kind of activity. So yeah, that's there. So let's go ahead and talk about some other things too while we're at it. So some of the other tools you can use, and I'll enable it, is the public chat area. And I'm going to go ahead and unlock the shared microphones. There we go. And these little gears that are kind of slowing down, it shows these bars. That's just turning everything on and off. It just lets you know something's happening. So your microphones are now on, and also the public chat area where kids can post things right here. Now, keep in mind, you can't delete any messages that students make or it's all part of the record. So one of the first things I'm going to do is remind my students is that we're still adhering to the Modesto City Schools Conduct Code, and whatever they post can and will be used against them in a court of me. So just lets them know that they're supervised and it's all recorded, and yeah. You can also, if you need to, you can choose to you can click on a name and you have these options. So you can start a private chat with a student. Let's say a student keeps interrupting and I might want to start a private chat. I also might want to make a student a presenter where they have control over all of, yes, your microphones are working now. So students have control over presenting. I can also make another student a moderator, so they're in charge of the chat and things like that. I don't quite know exactly what the difference is between presenter and moderator, but I'll mess with it and find out. You can also unlock students. And for those students who are just causing a disruption, you can just remove them. And it kicks them out of the class. Good morning. Another great tool is this action button down here at the bottom. You can start a poll. So if you're teaching a lesson, you can give these options and have a custom poll for students and build these into your lesson. You can also, I'll go ahead and X out of that. You can also upload a presentation. So if you have a PowerPoint or something that you want them to go over, you can drag the file or you can browse your files that are on your desktop. You can also, there's this little button here. Let's say you upload a file for your students. You can also click on this button so they can download it onto their machine. Now keep in mind, all of their devices in elementary school are going to be Chromebooks. Even the HP machines that they get are going to be Chromebooks. They've been imaged to be Chromebooks. So we all have the same system, and they'll be much more efficient. And then the last, I love this one, the last external tool you have is sharing an external video. So if you find something on YouTube that you want to share with your students right off the bat, if you make your own videos and post them to YouTube, you can share those. But you can add the video URL right here, and it will play for your students. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, let's see, Brett and link T-shirt wars. And if I go to T-shirt wars, and I'm going to share this video, and I grab the code, and I can place that code right here. Maybe I can't. Oh. This works on my Surface Pro, and it's my fault for not using my Surface Pro. It's not Chad's fault. Don't blame him.
Just want to throw out there that Microsoft does make a great product.
Okay. So you can post a link there, and it'll show your video. I'm sorry, it's just not working. It's kind of quirky today. I don't know what the deal is. Now notice that there's a student up here that's they have their mic on and there's some sounds being made. I'm glad this is happening because it'll show any students that are talking or making a comment will show up here, and you can just reach over here and mute it that way if it's a distraction or disruption. You can also, let me go back to the first slide. Dealing with this slide deck here, what you can do is you can go over here and you can write. You can do lines. You can change the size of the line that you want. You can draw shapes and colors. You can change the color. You can undo. You can get rid of everything. You can also turn the whiteboard over to students. So if you have a cursor, go ahead and get your pen out. And you can write on this board. Go for it. This will be graded, by the way. Hola. Feel free to change colors, change sizes, draw shapes. Once I turned my class onto this, I had about 35 students all get the largest tool, the pen tool, and they just started flooding it with colors. And then I closed my eyes and counted to 10 and then stopped it. And we saw what the design was. It's pretty interesting. Just gives them a chance to highlight different things. All right. And then when you're ready to stop, you just come over to this tool down here on the bottom right and you turn it off and it's locked in. And then you can switch slides and turn it on again. Let's compare the two. I agree, it is cool. Oh, is that a music note? Is that a music staff? Very nice. While you're drawing, I just want to reiterate, remember what you have in your background, that's your classroom. So notice here I have a couple posters from like Wine and Chocolates from Lodi and Mile Wine. Not that I have a problem, but my wife and I play music there. So we have the posters, so I'm probably going to take those down so my students see that it's more of a classroom. All right, so I'll turn that off. There's that. Also, if I minimize, if I get rid of the whiteboard, it's me. And then, Chad, can I have you turn on your camera?
Do you want me to turn on my camera?
In Schoology conference.
Okay, give me a minute because I'm not even in Schoology.
Oh, okay, sorry. Actually, could I have somebody turn on their camera that's willing to share their image inside Schoology? And then once you turn on your camera, you will be able to see your kids. Although I know one of my rules is only one student or one camera. Only one camera should be on. I just want to show you how. Oh, you can't. I locked it. I locked it. Yeah, it was a trick question. But what you'll notice here is when I take everything away, the presentation away, you fill the screen. And then if I want to get the presentation back, there's this little restore presentation down here. It goes back, and then I go back up on top. So there's that. There's also an area for what's called shared notes. And I can type notes here, here. And so can you. If I go here and I go to lock viewers and I unlock the notes, I'm going to enable notes. So you can put your cursor there and type a note. So if you open up the shared notes tab, there we go. Hey, Chad. Knock, knock. Who's there? Okay. Smell mop who? I'm afraid. All right. You can also, before we, you can also quickly lock those down before we find the answer. We'll have to find out later in the other chat box. Also, if this whole idea of cameras scares you to death, by the way, if I minimize this, I can also focus on one of the screens if I need to see something. And it's not working here. Oh, maybe this is it. Yep, I don't want to make me full screen. Good. You can also, there's usually a little lever here that allows you to make one of the pictures bigger and the others are just thumbnails around the side. Also, if I want to, in the upper right hand corner, there's 3 little dots that allow me to end my meeting. So at the end of my conference, I can end the meeting. But I can also go into settings, and if you absolutely don't want cameras or microphones on, or desktop sharing, you can turn off the cameras, and this turns off all the cameras. It'll turn off my camera, it'll turn off your cameras, it'll be cameraless meeting, and that's just an overall setting, and it helps to save for bandwidth. You can also turn off desktop sharing, so students would be able to share their desktops. I haven't messed with that with my kids. I've only been online with them maybe a handful of times, so I'm not sure how that would work. So that's kind of Schoology conferences in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and go over to questions right now. We have about 7 minutes left for the scheduled time, but we'll stay here as long as you guys have questions. So if you have questions, let me open up the public chat, and then you can, yeah, I locked everybody's camera, I'm sorry. So one thing about cameras, if you allow students to use their cameras, I don't recommend it, but if you allow them to use their cameras, keep in mind they can't see each other inside the main course here. They can inside of breakout rooms, which is the danger. I hate to use the word danger, which is unwise to do at this point. But if you allow them to use cameras, they still can't see each other, but when they turn on their camera, you'll be able to see them. As each person talks to you, the camera will pop up, kind of like it does on The Voice. All right. Any questions? Let's go ahead and go into questions mode. And if you have questions, go ahead and type it into the text box. Either text box is fine.
Says after you broke the rooms, I don't have a microphone icon. Is that normal? I don't think so. Does it ask you for a mic test when you come back in, Greg?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Have you had trouble getting all of your kids to show up at this point? Yeah, just because it's still not required. I think the dialers and stuff that go out for the 13th. And I have some kids in there that are spreading the word for me. So
yeah, me too. And I'll call them. They're all in Schoology, and all their parents are in Schoology too, so I can send a message to their parents and say, school's in session. Most of my kids came in. When they stayed home on Wednesday, our last day of school, I only had 6 kids show up. So I kind of panicked, and I said, hey. Yeah, let's see here. So I panicked, and I told students to get on the phone and use their social media to get their students on, and within 5 minutes, they were all online. I see the big blue button in the presentation, but not able to tell if I'm in and unable to click on anything. Lacrissa, I don't see you here. Did you click on the join button? Did you just click on the link there this morning? If you click on this morning, you'll be able to come in right here. That'll bring
Greg, do you want to go over like how to set up a conference and how students get in?
How they get in? Sure. So I have this conference. Let me set up another conference. So I want to create a new conference. I just go here and I put in a title. I'll tell you this, our second conference. And I should use caps because I'm a teacher. I'll use proper English grammar rules. And I'm going to put in a time, so let's allow students And when you get that feedback, one thing you can do is you can just go to see where a student came in and they didn't know their microphone is on, so I just went ahead and you can mute it. So the day, I'll put the date, and I'll put this for 12 o'clock because that'll be our next conference. I'll click create. And now there is a second conference, so they'll know when to come in, right here. And it's not started yet, so they can't enter it. So that's how you create it. When this conference is completed, I'll end it, and there will be a recording of the conference right here. And I don't know why it says no recording, but it does. Oh, I know why. I didn't start the recording. So when you start your conference, if you want to record your lessons for your students, you can click on Start Recording, and it will make a recording of the entire conference. And then when you stop the recording and you stop the conference, it'll paste it right here, completed. And then also in Schoology, Matthew Ketchum made a video on how you can download that conference and actually put it back into Schoology so your students can see it. So that's kind of cool. Any other questions?
I do have a question.
Okay.
I was practicing trying to record a conference, and when I ended the conference, it said that it was not recorded, even though I pressed the recording button when I started. And I tried it several times, and it didn't record.
Yeah, I don't know. All I can do
Those
is
types
say
of
that,
questions with things not working would be like tech questions. Like reach out to your site tech and just let them know that's what's going on.
yeah, probably the help desk, and just get people looking at that. When you send all your problems to the help desk, they make a log of it, and then it goes to the appropriate person to start dealing with that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, sometimes you're not doing anything wrong, especially like right now with the load that Schoology's under. So you may not be doing anything wrong. It may not be working for you right now. It's just there's everybody and their brother that's on this thing right now,
You are now
trying to
muted.
get the setup. So
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome. I still don't see where to go this morning for entering the conference. Well, let me show you.
I know sometimes you can show Greg, but I know sometimes for some people too, just part of one of those problems, it's not even showing up for them. So
Yeah,
it's just
okay. So if I go
there's a lot going on.
If I go into Schoology and I go to courses, Schoology conferences, and then I know one thing that might be hindering you. If you go to conferences, if you were in an earlier group, do this. There's a little drop-down menu up here at the top. Go to the 4, 1, 9 to 10 o'clock group. Skip on that, and that's where you'll find us here. Try that. Use the gear to lock and unlock the class mics and video. Yes, that's correct. Can students share their screens with you? I don't know. Should we try it? Let's try it. So, can you share your screen with me? Let me go to see if they're locked down. No, they can't.
You are now. No, they can't.
I don't think they can. I think
they can. I think the turning off screen share turns it off for me.
I'm getting a weird.
Breaking up. All my audio is breaking up.
I think you got two mics.
Hey, Chad, I'm going to go out of the meeting and come back.
Sounds good. As far as starting a hold on one second. I'm going to out of Schoology. All right. As far as like creating a recurring meeting, I don't think that was an option on there. I'm going ahead and posting the attendance link. Since the class is technically done at noon.